Less essential, but particularly useful, is communications. You should have a battery-powered, old-fashioned transistor radio that's capable of doing AM and FM. Never mind the digital. The good news about AM and FM is it uses a lot less power, so the batteries last longer. But more importantly, the BBC and hence the government will maintain broadcasting on the AM and FM frequencies longer than the digital frequencies. One transmitter in long wave can cover the country, so it's much easier for them to keep it going. The other thing I'd say from experience from other crises is listen to your local BBC radio station. Local government typically communicate to you through those local radio stations. So maybe you need two radios, one listening to the national BBC and one listening to your local stations. These are by far the most likely ways you are going to get your information. The likelihood that you're able to access the internet and that the internet stays available is less certain. If you're wanting to communicate with people, use email rather than instant messaging or any of the proprietary. The nice thing about email is it's store and forward. So you write your email and it may sit in your queue for some time until you and the server are up. It then goes off to the server. It then waits until it can get to its destination, which may be some hours later. Instant messaging, as the sentence said, if there isn't a direct connection between you and your target, you just won't get through. And even if they're up and you're not, or you're up and they're not. So email is the way you should communicate when we're in a power crisis. If you want to be particularly secure on the email, you might want to configure an old laptop PC to be an email server rather than relying on Google or Microsoft. There are a lot of places where your communication with your email service can get blocked. If, on the other hand, the emails are coming direct to you, it is more likely to get through. Something really more for the geeks, I understand that, but a good policy all the same. The other thing about email is make sure you've got the email addresses of the key people you want to contact. The email addresses, not just of friends and family, but of your tradesmen, government officials, the police, all these things you want to make sure are in your email directory. Indeed, building a directory of useful people and useful places is another prepping thing. You want to know your nearest plumber. You want to know your nearest brick builder. You want to know your nearest electrician in particular. Find out who amongst your neighbours has these skills. One of the nicer aspects of crisis is generally people become way more generous with their time and their sympathy than in normal times. We saw that in COVID, where communities suddenly came together and helped each other out. So knowing these people, just asking them, most of them in these circumstances will help. Another aspect on communications is manuals. For all of your essential equipment, it's actually a good idea to download the manuals. Virtually all manuals are now online. Most of you won't even got a paper one. You'll just get a note saying that the manual's online. These manuals are unlikely to be available in power cuts, just when you need to know what voltage needs to go into this device. So download your manuals in advance. There are lots of other things that you might want to consider downloading for long-term prepping, which we'll go into in another video. Yeah. Because of the unreliability of the internet in power cuts, you should also have a big wad of folding cash, because the banking systems are all now just-in-time electronic, and I doubt whether most shops have the capability of allowing you to write IOUs. On the other hand, turning up with folding cash, you should be able to persuade them to let you have some of their stock when they're otherwise shut.